I think about my true I leave all worries related to my day-to-day life and concentrate on my inner. I am myself. Only this. No labels, no adjectives referring to the body, color, nationality, religion, just myself. Peaceful, light, and free. I leave behind the restrictions that hold me and just keep the awareness on my inner peace, centered in the middle of my foot. Gradually, I come back to the present moment and remain just a little longer in this deep silence. People, welcome. Thanks for coming. My name is Peter, and I'm the presenter here. And I collaborate in what I do here with a number of other people, but most notably Phil, who's over there in the music driver's seat. And in fact, what you were just listening to, or actually meditating to then, was the first track off the CD, which is in the back cover of Ken O'Donnell's new book. And that was Ken's voice. And the piano behind Ken's voice was a fellow by the name of Michael Westlake. Michael actually appears on other albums that we have on our shelf out there. So, beautifully done. Very nice to open with. So, this afternoon we are very privileged to have with us Ken. Ken O'Donnell is an Aussie, in fact, and hasn't lived in Australia though for many, many years. He tripped off to South America in the early 80s to start a branch of the Brahma-Kumaris. And at that time there weren't any Brahma-Kumaris or their centres in South America, and he based himself in Brazil, and now it's a rather huge organisation in all of South America, in fact, not just Brazil. So when Ken went there, he was okay at speaking English, I think, but he knew not a word hardly of Spanish or Portuguese, but he's a very smart chap, and he taught himself very quick, smartly, and got on with teaching things. And so, in fact, the book that we're launching today actually, I think, first launched, how long ago, Ken? 20 years ago, but just not in English, that's all. So he wrote the book in Portuguese, and I guess it's been in Portuguese and Spanish for some time, and it's only really just turned up in English. So Ken first started doing this type of meditation when he was travelling around a lot overseas, and he was in the UK or thereabouts. And the story that I like to tell, and I don't know whether he recalled this, me telling this anyway at the time, I don't know whether he recalled it happening, but our national coordinator, Charlie Hogg, has told me this story about staying with some friends of his somewhere in Spain, and he was up on the first floor somewhere in this apartment building, and in through the window climbs this black hooded figure with this big long black coat, big beard, looking rather ominous. So that was Ken. Climbing in through the window on the first floor, must have been quite a feat. Don't know how you got up there, but I won't ask.
It was in London.
It was in London, was it? Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, little slimmer, yeah. Wasn't in Spain at all, but Ken remembers it to be in London. But anyway, Ken is a very enterprising person. He likes to be enterprising about his spirituality. And fortunately for all of us, because he produces quite a lot of good literature, a lot of good classes, and even a lot of good music, because he is a guitarist and singer as well. So, okay, today we're doing the ultimate frontier, and in fact, it's gone to sleep. It's gone to sleep, folks.
You might have to just redo the airplay feed on that.
It sat there so obediently,
Yeah, I know.
all the way to the start, and then airplay. Okay, it says it's still there. Anyway, folks, a minor technical hitch here.
What happened to news Apple?
Can you turn it off or turn it on, the airplay?
Apple TV, okay. We're going back on again, but we'll turn that off in one.
Yeah, we do that.
Modern technology, isn't it?
Anyway,
So it's
while
all
we're doing
good until it stops, and then you don't know what's going on.
and the inevitable thing is that one day it will stop, does stop. Everything stops. And that's when we least expect it, of course.
That's not working out.
I'm going to aim it at the Apple thing.
Yeah, the Apple thing behind, so
No.
just keep talking.
Yep, just talk amongst yourselves, folks.
Yeah, well, I just, first of all, a lovely welcome to you all. I just don't look at that.
Anyway, Ken, how did the book come about 20 years ago?
Well, the thing is, it was, I was working with publishers. In fact, I've got lots of books. And generally I work in the Americas, so, mainly Latin America. So most of the books I've written are in Spanish or in Portuguese, not in English. So I had when I did this book, it actually became a bestseller in Brazil, in with some of the states. And well, a few years later I translated it, which was a strange experience. Imagine translating your own book into your own language. Because I'd written it originally in Portuguese. That was because the publishers were on my case and they wanted it out fast. And so there wasn't enough time to write it in English and then get it translated, so I had to do it straight. Which was good for me because I could hone up my local language skills. And it was just sitting around, and I'm really not sort of a pushy type, so I wasn't. If someone's interested, okay. If not, okay too, no problems. And I was doing another book, and in fact, this other book is also going to be launched, but it's going to be downloadable free on time. It's a book about time called The Carousel of Time, and it should be sort of soonish on our international website. And the publishers here in Australia said, no, this may take some time. Do you have anything else which is sort of quicker? I said, yeah, this is being translated. Have a look at it. They liked it. So 2 years ago, I came here to look at it, to go through it, and also to record some commentaries with Michael and visit family and stuff. Oh, here we are. And this was, when I looked at it, I thought, oh my God, this is a big recommendation. If you ever write a book, don't read it. Because you want to correct everything. Peter's also a musician, and you have the experience. You can't do that with songs, right? It's laid down, and that's it. So you're the only one in the whole world can hear that pop when it gets the particular phrase in the song. But with books, you can more easily change them so that the next position is different. But when I looked at it, I rewrote it completely and updated it. So if you look at this version and the version before, you more or less see that they're similar. But it was completely rewritten and sort of put into blog type language rather than in those days you had longer phrases and so on. So it made it more easy to read.
So what does the book set out to do, Ken? I mean, why these three things that appear up here now, understanding, awareness, practice? What's that all about?
Well, there are, at the end of each chapter, to make it easier to digest, I summarize each chapter in 3 stages. And these are the 3 stages that we really need to work on if we want to progress internally. And understanding, of course, is not enough. Who here understands that it's not good to get angry with people all the time? Who understands that? Who manages not to get angry ever? Okay, congratulations. Oh, you stop. So when you can do that, this understanding has become an awareness. And as the awareness increases, it's fed by the practice, it becomes natural. So understanding is not enough, and this is a big challenge, I think. People, look at all the books of this sort of nature that you've read, maybe, or you've looked at in your life now, how to sort of organize your thinking in 10 easy steps. The 7 keys to happiness, all that sort of stuff, which I really don't believe. It's not so easy, actually. And the one of the reasons is that our understanding, which may be fairly intellectually okay, to think that just because you can string ideas together intelligently does not mean that that's really become your awareness. You can, because most people are fairly ignorant in any field, let's say ecology, you can learn, you can read 4 or 5 books on ecology and you can keep up your debate with the best of them, at least for a little while. You can't really fool the experts. The same with spiritual things. We're all good at, spouting forth wisdom, but it's not real until it becomes awareness and a practice. So I've summarized each chapter to make it more palatable, easy to understand and put it into practice and awareness.
So is it a book that people can sort of follow through on a daily basis or something like that, a weekly basis in their life?
Yeah, the way that it's set out, you'll see it later. It's really well designed so that you read a bit, you stop a bit, you reflect a bit. Okay, let me see what I can do. And at the end of each chapter, also there's a meditation, which is also recorded on the CD. What's written is also recorded, so you can, it's really made the journey a little bit easier, which cost me a lot of headache. when I was going through it. So, the theme of the story, yeah.
I'm intrigued. I mean, our leading characters in the book are all frogs. And I do actually recall, I think, the old Hindu story, maybe it's Hindu, I don't know, but I thought it was Eastern at the time.
I thought it was Greek.
Was it Greek? Well, there you go. It's pretty old
National
anyway.
story, yeah.
It goes back before our time. And about two frogs. Can you talk a bit more on that one?
Well, it's
the one who goes travelling. And
everyone paraphrases stories anyway, so I did too. It's a story actually in the introduction that sort of helped me a lot. And the people helping with the design of the book said, okay, we need some little friendly chap to present the concept, so why don't we use the frog, which is the story at the beginning of the book. So there were two frogs. One was living in a well, the other lived by the seaside, right? Frog surfer, you can imagine. And the seaside frog invites the well frog to go to the seaside. So they go hopping merrily across the land and they get there. And when they get in front of the sea, the seaside frog says, isn't it wonderful, this water in front of us? And the well frog said, that's not water. Water is black. Water has a dank smell. It doesn't swirl around like this that we're seeing. That's not water. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And they go over and put their toes into the water, and lo and behold, he realizes that it is. So it's the metaphor here is that we live in our own circumstances. We live in our own little worlds, and we think that that's it, right? And of course, we don't hardly ever see the world as it really is. We only see the world as we are. So the well frog will see everything from the well perspective. And well, at that time, when I heard the story, I felt pretty welled in, to tell the truth. And I wanted to understand more. I mean, and since then I've practically been travelling. I've been to maybe around 100 countries, different in my life. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't counted. It seems like that. And I've understood that human beings are pretty similar anywhere. And if I ask you, for example, how would you define a good relationship? What sort of things would exist in a good relationship between two human beings? What would you say?
Love.
Love. Well,
Communication. Appreciation and respect of boundaries.
yeah, appreciation, respect, boundaries.
Trust and honesty.
Trust and honesty. Anything else?
Communication.
Good communication. Huh?
Care.
Care. You know what? You've just answered exactly how people in dozens and dozens of other countries have answered. Doesn't matter what sort of tradition or culture they come from, they say the same thing. Even kids, I've done it with kids, they've said that. I've done it with scientists, they've also said that. I've done it with CEOs, they've said that. So you see, there is a common territory that in our world state we can't really understand. We don't realise. And I often feel that if we spoke the same language, there would be so much less conflict in the world. This morning I was remembering, for example, Jesus spoke Aramaic, not Hebrew, not Greek, not Latin. And you know the word for God in Aramaic? Allah. I don't think Donald Trump would like that, right? Because it was a Semitic word which just meant the one. And it's almost similar to the Hebrew Elohim, Allah, Elohim. So you see that there's a commonality that we don't see because of our restricted perception. You've got to be open to see further than what you have experienced and take it on board also. There's a lot of you see a taxi driver in Buenos Aires and a taxi driver in Delhi and they're swearing, they're probably saying the same thing, right? But using different words. Yeah. A mum in Afghanistan and a mum in America, if they lose their baby, they suffer the same, right? Not different. So open your eyes and you'll see a different world, basically. And that's what this story put me up for.
So, yeah, in this slide here, actually, we've got this quote: "I was in a rudderless boat in a sea of doubts, far from in a safe anchorage." Was that you?
Maybe. I mean, the artist was really creative, you know, because this picture that really doesn't need an explanation, does it? Really well done. But there are two things here. There's the boat and the sea, right? What causes the rocking in the boat? The boat itself or the waves? Huh?
Nice.
The waves. So you see, if you have like self-confidence, and that's you have to work on, right? You have to test ideas, and you have to, you know, work with yourself, and you know, be daring, and you start to learn that, well, you know, if in my real nature I'm not really this physical form, but I'm the driver of it. And here I quote Teilhard de Chardin, who says his famous phrase is that we are spiritual beings going through a human experience and not human beings looking for a spiritual one. So if I'm that bigger entity and I'm here in this physical one, then I start to experience that a sense of continuing continuity and eternity, maybe, then I'm unsinkable. So it doesn't matter how big the waves are, whatever they are, you know. The worst thing you can do if you're in your own inner boat and it's shaking, don't jump out of it. Because if this frog said, "Oh my God, this is not what I expected. Let me get out of here." He jumps out of the frying pan into the fire, right? Jumps out of an unsinkable boat into a relentless sea. And we'll be, you know, the day that you decide to be patient, what happens on that day, for example?
Tested.
What happens?
Sea comes.
Huh?
The sea comes.
No, the day that you decide, I'm going to be patient today, you know,
You test it. Somebody said from the back.
be tested by it, yeah. The day you decided to stop eating chocolates, your aunt arrives from Belgium with a kilo of the best. What do? You put your diet off until after that kilo of chocolates. So you see, if you start to challenge your deeper self, you will have waves. They will. It's like all the sediment that's gone down to the bottom of you starts to come up again. And you try to run away. You know, there's no way you can go on this world that you can be away from yourself. No way. Even if you'd like to.
So, most of us, we sort of don't dig around too deeply necessarily. And sometimes life gets a bit hard. You feel like you just want to go on an easy level, make everything easy, and yet we're not necessarily challenging ourselves, like you've sort of just been saying. This image up here, it's sort of saying, well, dig deeper, find what's really down there. What is that all about? And
Yeah, it's a bit, you know. What's your favourite complaint? What would you say your favourite complaint is? It is find yourself saying now and then.
About people.
What?
About people.
About your life, about anything.
Not enough time.
Yeah, I don't have enough time. Who has that mantra? I don't have enough. No one cooperates with me. Why do I have to do everything myself? You know, I don't have enough money, maybe. Yeah. Or some people complain about the government. You know.
People are not understanding.
Yeah. Why don't people understand things? It's so easy. Anyway, here we have to sort of examine a bit deeper. You know, if I say I don't have time, why don't I have time? What would you say? What's a good reason for not having enough time? I'm not organized. Right. So why am I not organized? Why don't I organize myself better? Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to prioritize. Why I don't know what to prioritize? Well, I really don't know what's the most important thing, you know. Because we spend a lot of time doing things that are unimportant and urgent, right? And we spend a whole lot of time doing things that are unimportant and not urgent. So we're distracted or interrupted all the time, you know. But if I have some clarity about where I'm going, then I'll probably make better choices. Yeah. But why don't I make better choices? I don't really know what I want. Why don't I know what I want? Because I don't value myself enough, maybe. Why don't I value myself enough? Because I don't love myself. So there you are saying, I don't have enough time, but in fact it's because you don't love yourself. So if you mow the lawn full of weeds, it will look nice for a few days, but after a few days, the weeds are going to come up again. In the same way, if you just prune all of your problems, they'll come up again. So this is like in just a bit. Sorry. If you don't look at your deeper motives, you'll probably be sort of unstable emotionally.
So that sounds a bit scary, sort of. I don't know whether everyone can read that from the back, but the things that are up the top there in the tree, about being disrespectful, worried, hurtful, and so on, it's like they've got their roots down in our fears, our insecurities, and things like that. Yeah, selfishness. So they can be hard things to look at. They can be really, you know, we don't want to see those things. They're ugly things. Okay? So how do we go about that? I mean, and why don't we love ourselves anyway?
Well, this just only this instance gave me a piece of paper. I want to show you something. I read a book called Human Values in the Workplace. It was published in Brazil and also in Spain. And the central bank in Brazil, the HR lady, manager, picked it up and she said, "Can you come and give a talk on your book? And we'll transmit it to the whole, you know, our units throughout the country." Aha.
Carry on.
Can't you put it on permanent?
Yeah,
Yeah, when it's playing
So, not to worry. I'm in the middle of the story anyway. So the book's full of stories as you guess, right? And so the lady, she called me in the day before the talk, and it was at their the head office in Brasilia, the capital. And it was very, yeah, it's the one before this actually. He's doing he's setting it up, taking the office. No, keep on this one, yeah. Yeah, this is the one. And they were having a campaign from the central bank, together with the Mint, for people to have more care with money. I know in Australia you've got paper plastic money, right? Most countries still have paper money, as in Brazil. So, people handling the money and, after some time it becomes worn out and they have to print new money. So if they figured that if people had more care with the money, the paper money, then they would save over 3 years about $20 million in printing costs. It costs money to print money, right? And so, well, I said, aha, this is what I'm going to use my talk. So that night I made a photocopy of a 100 real note, which is about $50. And so, knowing that it was going to be televised, you can't tell the difference. The colour photocopies these days are so really good now. So I mussed it up a bit crinkled, right? So in the middle of the talk, I pull it out of my pocket, this 100 real note. And I said, look, I'm feeling very generous today. I want to give 100 real to the first person who puts up their hand. And 7 people immediately put their hands up. It's interesting. Maybe you should stay there, Phil.
Yeah.
Just play around with the mouse every few seconds.
Well, why don't I just sit back here and you just give me the nod?
Okay. Great. Now I've got a personal slide turner over. So I pulled out this note and then, I just crumpled it up in front of the cameras and everyone, and the lady who organised the talk, we've been talking about the campaign. She almost had a heart attack. And she was sort of whispering to me, lips, what do you call it? Just saying, campaign. I said, don't worry, And I crumpled up the note like this. I said, you still want it? Those 5 or 6 people who put their hands up. Yes, of course. I threw it on the floor and jumped on it. I picked it up, it's all sort of dirty now. You still want it? And they said, yes. And then the ultimate blasphemy was, I was courting arrest actually. It's like burning the flag, right? So I picked up the note and tore it in half. And I said, you still want it? And I pulled out some sticky tape from my pocket. You still want it? They said, yeah, we can change it to the central bank, right? But by this time, the lady was having really kittens. And I said, look, this is a fake note. I will do what I just did with a fake note. I'll tear it off. I said, okay. And I said, this is the whole thing about this. You asked about how to go deep, how to love yourself. You have to value yourself. So I have an innate value. Just like this note, didn't matter what I did to it, it continued to be $50, right? So I have an innate value that no matter if the world screws me up, jumps on me or tears me in half, I will continue to have same value.
Have the word.
Right?
The word of myself.
Yeah, my value doesn't change. I'm the only one who can take away my value. No one else can unless I allow them to. So that sort of depth of perception will really keep you very stable. No, it's
Backwards, you're
going ahead too fast. Yeah. So after this, we can have a meditation just as a pause, and we're going to do it without music. but the whole thing of looking at ourselves, uh, experimenting with ourselves more than anything. And since my first job, I used to work in the R&D lab at White Wings here in Australia, because I studied food chemistry. And I used to work actually developing products, which actually turned me off additives for the rest of my life, by the way. I don't never get me to eat industrialized products, so I know too much. Sorry about saying that if you like your biggies. But so I used to love just playing around with substances and formulas and things. When I started to come up and had to deal with other people, because nothing in my education prepared me to deal with human beings. And if you try to treat them as substances or numbers or formulas, you get a big shock. So I had to learn other skills, interpersonal skills. At the same time we're dealing with things, we're dealing with people, we're dealing with ourselves. So there are three levels to experiment with. I talk about this self-experimentation, and the art is very kindly made a very creative sort of, lots of ingredients to stop the explosiveness inside of us. Yeah. So maybe that's a
Time for meditation.
Yeah. So what I would like you to do is sit nicely. Don't sit slouching. Don't sit too rigidly. You don't even need to close your eyes. Just let your eyes rest some point in front of you, just to rest your gaze. Just become aware of the moment, what's happening around you. You can hear the sound of the traffic. There's also the traffic of your own thinking parading by, just like the cars. One thought comes, whizzes past. You're aware of 360 degrees of things around you because your eyes are sort of half open. You're aware of the colours and the forms. Now, in the same way that you're seated on your seat, just imagine a subtle seat where you're actually mentally sitting. Just imagine a subtle seat, sort of a couple of centimetres behind the middle of the forehead. Where actually all of the sensations come to be processed, and your thoughts come parading by. Don't try to make any effort to stop them, just watch them. Just as that if you're at the center of 360 degrees of things around, you're also in the center of your life. So there are relationships and situations with which you are connected. It's like a network of things and people which stretch out from you family members and work situations, colleagues, friends. And as you become more stable, what happens is that you actually stabilize the whole network. Things that depend on you, in the very moment you become calm and more stable just because you're at a state of rest, mentally at a state of rest, you're just observing, watching things happening, watching your life around you. Because you're at the center, you're still, and that stillness has an impact on everything connected with you. It's a great way to sort of, not just you calm down, you calm down everything for a few moments. Now make this a sort of a visual experience. Try to visualize this tiny point of conscious energy, which is the real spiritual self. The deep I doesn't have any size. It's sort of a form of conscious energy. So sort of see a star-like point. And that's where you are sitting. That's you, actually. The deeper you. It's a point of conscious energy, like a tiny lighthouse shining in the middle of the void. So try to see that, try and not see it maybe, but feel it. Be it for a few moments. So as you go into a state of stillness and rest, what happens is that you discover that in that state you are peaceful. Basically you are content. Basically you're also truthful. You don't need to prove anything. You're okay. Also, all the things are happening around you, but you're in the center of it all, just still watching. Not fighting anything. So try and keep that feeling more than the thought. Try to keep the feeling for a few moments longer. Open your eyes a bit more. Realize that, your eyes are really just windows through which you are looking. Just as your ears are windows through which you're listening. And gradually come back to the gathering here. Okay.
Okay, that's nice.
Did it hurt?
So does that meditation experience, how does that connect to this hairy monkey idea? What's the hairy monkey thing? Hairy-faced monkeys.
Well, they're like the useless thoughts. This actually connect to a story about a guy who wanted to learn how to meditate, and the spiritual master said, just sit in a quiet place. If you want, you can put some soft music on in the background. But whatever you do, don't think of hairy-faced monkeys. So he was sitting there and he remembered all of his instructions, and then the last instruction, oh right, he told me not to remember hairy-faced monkeys. And you know what happened?
He was remembering.
One popped in his head. Oh, I can't do this, I'm meditating. Another one came. So if you're sitting there, you remember you forgot to buy the bananas. You forgot where you left your keys, or did I leave the stove on or something? You're sitting there, did I switch the iron off? You're doing something and some mundane thought pops into your head. Don't try to fight it. It'll just get stronger. So if you're sitting and some useless thought comes into your mind, just cover it with something else, let's say you're trying not to think of some bad word that someone just said to you. What's behind the word? What's behind an angry person? Generally behind an angry person there's a frustrated person. And behind a frustrated person, someone who's suffering something. So if I had trained myself to see the sufferer, not the angry person, I'll probably be more compassionate. So don't try to fight it, change it. Just change the way you're looking at it. So if a hairy-faced monkey comes into your mind, just be entertained, not fight them. Just let them come and go, basically.
A poor sad-faced monkey.
Yeah, sad-faced monkey also.
So don't look at what it is you don't really need to see or want to see.
No, you can change it. You can change the way you see anything. You can use that as a sort of a springboard to a better thought. It's like watching scenes go by the windows in the meditation that was playing when you came in. Like the idea that you're sitting in a train, you're the passenger. Oh, there's interesting things passing by the window. You're not going to jump out of the train just because they're beautiful or ugly. Just let them come and go. I think most people have difficulty with their thinking. Is that right? Who has tried to meditate and has failed to meditate? Yeah? What happens? Hairy-faced monkey, right? Yeah? And we have to also use of course meditation helps our practical life, but there are things we can do in our practical life to help our meditation. I don't need to think endlessly about useless things. I can't change the past. There's a verb tense that's probably, I don't know what the official name is, but I call it the useless verb tense. If I only had, I would be. Right? If I only had gone, I would be. If I only had studied, or if I only hadn't married, if I only hadn't been, or if I only hadn't accepted that job, I would be, I should be, and so on. It's useless. You did it. You studied. You're gone. You didn't go. You went. Whatever you did. You did. You can't change it. What you can do is you can change your understanding of it. So if in your normal going about things you start to change the way you think, that will definitely help at the time that you sit to meditate, because you'll have less sort of stuff. We have 1,000 minutes of waking life every day, more or less. And if you have something in your mind every second, how many things are there in a day? 60,000. Some people have 100,000, 120,000. So what you can do is you can think less and think better, and that will also help you meditate. Both ways.
So what's the next thing on? Moving on from the hairy monkey. How do people go about that?
Well, let's have a look. Yeah. Sort of connected with what we were just saying. You see, generally we are superficial. That's why we experience the waves. You probably remember that story of the tsunami where there were some divers near Thailand, and they were sort of few meters under the surface of the ocean when the biggest wave in history just passed a few meters above their heads, right? Waves are only on the surface, right? So they're down there sort of snorkeling away or diving away, looking at the fishies. And when they came back to the surface, they couldn't find their boat anymore. When people went swimming towards the town, they couldn't find the town either. They'd just been blown away by the wave. Imagine their consternation. So even if I'm on the surface and with a superficial take on people and things, I'll be carried this way, that way, and the other way, every way. And so generally what happens in a conflict, let's say I'm the black frog and with a green one. Now the black frog wants the green one to be more black, and the green one wants the black one to be more green. And they start fighting, it's ridiculous, We will always have different visions at the surface, different experiences. It's like, you're looking at something through your keyhole and you're trying to explain it to somebody, but the other one has this keyhole, right? And you're saying, look, can't you see it's so damn clear? The other one saying, no, I can't see it at all. What are you talking about? Because you both, on a superficial level, we both see different things. Now let's say that one of them decides to not to see a little bit deeper behind the masks, behind the appearances, behind the behaviours, behind some personality trait. There's something deeper. If I train myself to see that something deeper, I become less upset by people's behaviour. Obviously, I'm only upset because I'm on the surface. If I go down a little bit deeper, I don't get upset anymore. I can understand better. I can comprehend better. And of course, this one here, the egos are not there at all anymore. So that when I say the ego, it's like the surface stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Don't we, a lot of people would say, oh, we need to have an ego, we need to have an ego. A bit like that old song, the Skyhook song, ego is not a dirty word. Is it or isn't it?
No. Yesterday I was in Gold Coast, and I asked if there were any Greek people in the audience. Any Greeks here by any chance?
The heritage.
Yeah. The word I in Greek is what? I can't remember.
Heritage.
The word I in Greek is ego. Same word, this word. I. So if you say, I can't say it, I'm going to the bank in Greek, it's ego, going to the bank. Right? So it just means I. But there are two I's. This is the problem. There's the limited one who's sort of stuck in the experience of this life and the things and the people and the relationships and the roles. Most of us, right? 24 hour, 24/7, all of that sort of stuff that we're trying to work out. That's pretty much the limited ego. Now the unlimited ego, the unlimited I, which is the one that came into this body, that's giving life to this body, which will continue after this body, which really is not confined by the bookends of life and death, right? Birth and death. That sense of continuity. If I can go to that state of consciousness, I can help this little fella here called Joe, right? Whatever your name is, right? Peter. So the soul can help Peter. The soul, this soul that's in here giving life, can help sort out Ken's stuff. So you should not say Peter is bad, Ken is bad, George is bad, Mary is bad. No, I shouldn't say that. It's not our coordinates which are the problems, the way we use them. Right? So if you start saying, well, I'm best, then that's a problem. Who is special here? Hands up. Who is special? Who is unique? Unique and special, right? At least for yourself, right? Now, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. But when you say, I'm more special than anyone else, that becomes a problem. Right? It can become, I'm better than anyone else, or I'm worse than anyone else. It's also a problem, isn't it? Nobody loves me, nobody cares, nobody buys chocolates for me anymore. What can I do? You know why no one loves you? Why? What do you think?
You don't love yourself.
Exactly. If you don't love yourself, it's like you're walking around with a t-shirt. It's written, don't need to love me because I can't love myself. Right? So,
Okay, on with the next slide. Ken mentions here about weaving this tapestry of the self. What is that tapestry? And you've also mentioned there many lives, the idea of having been weaving this tapestry for many lives.
well,
Is that the case? Is that the case for everyone?
yeah, maybe. If you've got complications, you've probably been around a while. Really, I'm not joking. Since we're a yoga school, obviously we'll go with the reincarnation story. So, we've been doing it for a while. Even from the birth itself, you start to notice characteristics. Even if they're twins, you see that they're different because they've got different pasts. So, what if you had like this carpet here, for example? You notice the design, probably from where's it from? India, no? Turkey, maybe. But Turkey would be hugely expensive. Probably made in China.
It's not really employed.
Made in China, it's under the EU. But anyway, you see, before they started to weave these design onto, probably done with a machine, right? What was there? What was there before? It's blank. It's a blank backing cloth, right? Blank backing cloth. So what happens is every thought, word, and action is like weaving some sort of a thread into the cloth. And because we're, on the other side of ourselves, so to speak, and we look at ourselves, we just see the design, and we forget what holds us together, right? What holds this together is the backing cloth. Otherwise, how can those threads be sort of fixed? They're fixed on something. So everything of our personality and behavior is fixed on something deeper. But we forget that because we're so fascinated or so intrigued or so bedazzled or so disappointed maybe with the design that we forget there's something deeper. Now that deeper is just pretty much blank. And my backing cloth and your backing cloth and his backing, all of our backing cloth is really similar. So I look at you, I see this maybe a grotesque design, or I see a fascinating design. I become bamboozled. But if I can see deeper, I can see that at a deeper level, me and you are pretty much the same. Yeah. And so the backing cloth, in fact, is our innate state. Innate means what was there from the beginning. So the innate state, our innate state is peace. It's not violence. Violence is a crazy design that came up later on. Our innate state is lovefulness. Most people want to be loved and they want to love. Some people express that stupidly or wrongly. very wrongly sometimes, but the desire, even if you ask anyone if they deliberately want to be miserable, even the masochists are trying to use miserableness to be happy, you know. So it's, we want to be, well, we want to, that's the big paradox, we want to be what we are. We,
Very good. Why can't we just be that?
well, because we're so bamboozled or bedazzled by the design of ourselves and others. At my, people's intrinsic nature comes out. It's like a state even before the words. There's a silence in us that has no words. And in meditation, we can sort of get into that more. Yeah.
So, returning to genuine personal power. Next slide.
Yeah.
Are we powerful beings? What does spiritual power actually mean?
Well, you can see here this. In fact, it's the same thing as the understanding, awareness, and practice. And spiritual knowledge is the understanding, the awareness is the meditation, and the practice is the development of qualities. If I do that, someone who's spiritually powerful can stay standing when everyone's sort of blown over, right? Doesn't matter what. Was it this morning I was talking about the earthquake? Yeah. So somebody asked me this morning, actually. I remembered a few years ago I was in Santiago, in Chile, giving a talk on being calm in the chaos. In the middle of the talk there was an earthquake, not a tremor, like 2 minutes of shaking. And that's a test of how whatever you've done, right, you could sort of jump out of jump into a state of panic, which most people did, by the way. But a few of them remained seated, and I just naturally gravitated towards the ones that didn't move in the earthquake. And I asked them, how come? And they said, well, we're in a wooden building. We were not in a brick building. So the superficial people probably just thought, oh my God, let me get out of here. But wood doesn't collapse in an earthquake. Very difficult to. It's a brick building, yes. And so they picked up that immediately. But even then, I've never been in an earthquake before. They'd been trained to it. There's lots of tremors and shocks. It's the worst earthquake zone in the world. So just remain standing and remain okay, even in a very difficult situation. That's how powerful you are. You see, spirituality is not something you practice with nice people. You have to practice it with the nasty ones. It's easy to be friendly with the friendly people, right? Lovable to the loveful people, easy. And it only has value to practice it with the ones that are not so easy and the situations that are not very comfortable. Then it's a test.
Those are challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we finish off now, but just using this idea of lightening the load a bit, because I guess people want to meditate, but often there are a lot of things in our way to just feeling that peace. So
Yeah.
how do we lighten it?
Who feels like that sometimes? You see, we can, if we look at, if there are situations that are from the past that are unresolved, things you can't forget or forgive, you're probably weighing yourself down needlessly. Just have to go back to the basics and try to understand, because if you change anything that's weighty from the past into a lesson that you've learned, it stops weighing. Lessons learned have no weight. And if you try to move forward looking backwards, you're probably going to trip over. Imagine driving, always looking in the rear vision mirror. It's going to happen. Oh, this in Australia is this side, right? You crash. So it's good to just put yourself in the present and just forgive and understand the past, change it into lessons, and you'll be lighter to go forward. So let's have a meditation and probably finish off.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you done with this?
Yes, yeah. Won't be distracting anymore. Thanks, Phil. Just again, you're seated in a physical seat, but you're also seated on a mental seat. There's a lot of things happening around you. But try to go into the middle of everything. So physically, lots of stuff happening around. Imagine how many things, not just in this suburb, but in the whole city at this moment happening. In the country, in the world, millions and millions and millions of things. You're in the middle of everything. Just still. So mentally also you're in the middle of your life. These are things stretching out from you. Things that require your attention now in the present, but also things that require you in the future maybe. Things that you have to sort out from the past as well. So there are sort of things stretching out from you, but again you're in the center of your life. See yourself as that tiny point of spiritual energy, that conscious energy, tiny child of the divine. Just like a tiny lighthouse in the middle of your forehead, just shining, just being what you are, being peaceful. There are things to address, yes, but at the moment, they don't require your attention, at least for a few more moments. Just pay attention to becoming more powerful. Just be who you are for a few moments. Just a tiny, peaceful point of conscious energy. Undivided. Okay. Life free. Fairly easy. Just hold that feeling. Of course there are things around you. Just look at them. They come up. Just look at them. Just be more compassionate towards yourself and others. remember who you are, in essence. Just a peaceful, tiny, star-like being, no size, but very powerful. Keep that thought, keep that feeling, open your eyes a bit. Come back to the gathering here today, this afternoon. Okay?
Ken, thank you so much. The book looks great, it sounds great now, and you heard commentary at the beginning. So how many commentaries are on that CD?
I think 7 or 8, don't ask me. I haven't read the book.
There's none.
I wrote it, but there's 9. I didn't read.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what I
it's
said at the
done.
beginning. I corrected what they wanted me to correct, but after I finished it, I didn't read it, so I forget. Sorry.
That's quite okay. It's nice to hear all this sort of thing straight from the horse's mouth, of course. And if you wanted to pick up a book there this afternoon, they are $25. I'm trusting that most of you would have read your email today. I suddenly realised that, of course, we don't have an FPOS machine here. We never have had. So we're going to try and do our best with everyone with cash. Yeah, so if you'd like to pick up your book, Ken will be more than happy to sign it for you. So he is going to go and plonk himself just on the other side of that wall there. And I think the idea is this, that you can file in through the back door there, and you can actually file out through this door behind Maureen. So thanks again, everyone, for coming. It was really nice to have you here. It was beautiful. Thank you, Ken, for coming and sharing the time and your thoughts on the book. And if you would like to stay around for a little while, please feel welcome. There is tea and coffee just through that back door there. Probably a lot of you already know the story there. Do keep an eye out on our web page, our Facebook page, all that sort of thing, and just keep up with what's happening. And if you're not on our email list, just let us know. We'll put you on. Okay, and thanks again. See you later.
Did you mention to you?
I did mention tea and coffee.
And also, with the detail, we can have Facebook. Oh, sorry, you did, okay. Great. What we can do in future, the USB, stick it in the There you go.
Maybe.
Good, good. Last week ago, we turned up.
That's right.
And it was a weekend, of course, so we missed the usual trip.
Good, it came back.
Ah, yes. Yeah, Christine insisted I had to sign.
Okay. Why not? Probably hadn't got too many signed on the book so.
No, no, well, as soon as I can, I'll be handing it on to my 6-year-old granddaughter, but I'm not sure what age she's supposed to be. She'll love looking at the illustrations, if nothing else, and she'll read. So I expect a lot of questions when she reads the little thought bubbles and stuff. I'm like, what? What are they saying? So I expect a few questions to come out of that. So if I don't read it and understand it, I will not be able to answer her.
You probably be informed that dogs don't talk.
No, well, they do. They don't speak Portuguese or Russian or English or whatever. All life talk. It's viruses and bacteria talk to each other. It's chemistry talk. And that's all the time.
Oh, yeah, I've had a few around.
Yeah, whenever I just.
Yeah, that's IDJ.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, likewise, yes indeed. You enjoy yourself? Yeah, good.
All right. Good. I have some songs online.
Oh, you've written some? I should just. I will show them a couple of songs.
So we're going to speak.
I just write some.
Enjoy it, Sharon? Yeah. As you all know, obviously done it before, lots of times. He came, no, that's it, now we've got to assist his candidate, Gata, he's been in Australia for a while, he's been touring, he's done all, he's doing all the major cities.
I was reading about virtue
So yes, yeah, so you just keep the fitness a little bit the alphabet. So we're on G this week. Probably be this year. Me or P. Yeah, E, F, G. So each week is different. So you can come in any time, you know. Yeah, good. Oh, yeah, so people don't have to.
Yeah, that's. I just couldn't even.
Good, if you'd like to help, this can go into the. Fine. And eventually all these things, two of these things can go into voluntary.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Can you carry? Can you carry? Are you all right carrying? Could you take these to the kitchen? You know how to do the kitchen? No, just in here, just in the kitchen there below. All but two. That's what there's two. Yeah, there's two there. Yeah. Every night, yeah. Just take the kitchen. On the shelf. Yes, please. Yeah, I'll be straight to you. It's just looking at all a little bit of this.
very good.
Yeah, that one, yeah, just the assurance.
Yeah.
every evening. Let me just stop this.